more like a
I know this doesn't give you too much of a break time, fast-paced, but such it is. We have a bit of time, so I would like to now tell you a story. I'm going to tell this story in steps. Before I get into the story, my name is Alex Goldstein. I am the co-founder of GB Property Management. We are a property management company based in Vaughan, and we service residential, commercial, and industrial facilities. So, after many years in the industry, 6 years of operating the company, serving single-family residential, commercial, and industrial facilities, having worked with clients in and out of the country, and different backgrounds and so forth, we came to this conclusion. If you're a property investor, we do not recommend you to manage your own properties. There are many reasons for that, and we're going to go through them now. Any type of property that you own, we do not recommend that you manage it yourself unless you really get into the business of property management. Maybe if you have one property, maybe okay. But we believe that if you want to build your investment portfolio, then you should focus on doing that and leave the management to professionals and people that know what they're doing. We're not really recommending necessarily ourselves. Really, our biggest competition is you. And people like you who try to manage their properties and they end up in situations that they would not want to end up in, or they just waste a lot of their own time dealing with stuff. So even we go so far as even if you live in a property, let's say you rent your basement, we also recommend that you should probably look at property management companies to help you out, and I'll explain to you why. So, why should you not manage a property yourself? Okay, here's how most of our clients look like when they're coming in to speak to us. Okay, they're in legal troubles. Okay, the properties are in terrible conditions because they did not know how to properly and effectively maintain it. Okay, mismanaged rent payments and no rent increases. A lot of our clients are afraid to serve rent increases, and they fall behind over the years, even though it's only 2.5%, 1.5%. Over time, it does account for something. It amounts to something, incrementally adds up. And when they are afraid to engage with the tenant because they're afraid that the tenant is not going to pay them or stop paying or all of that kind of stuff, they're losing value. So why are you doing all of this if you're not making the money that you're supposed to be making out of these properties, right? They're mentally, physically, and emotionally exhausted from dealing with it. Their weekends are wasted. Their gas money is wasted going to Home Depot, taking parts and going out and fixing things. They're trying to fix things, right? They're looking for a way out. A lot of them are reconsidering whether this is even for them because they didn't realize how much work it actually is to manage properties or deal with tenants, right? And we're not even talking about the Residential Tenancies Act, which we are going to talk about a little bit later, but this is just just a snapshot. Personal relationships and health affected. A lot of them are going through divorce because obviously there are arguments and disagreements of what to do with the properties, how to deal with them, right? It consumes a lot of time. How did it get so bad? Okay, it wasn't always like this. Okay, managing property used to be a want and not a need. So when we talk to older clients, older generation clients, that are coming up to retirement and so forth, they took pride in running their properties, right? Several properties. They're getting into the truck, going into Home Depot, driving up to the place where they knew everything about the place, right? Taking care of the toilet, taking care of the plumbing, of the kitchen, and all of that, and just sorting out the tenants. Like you can't do that kind of stuff anymore. You talk sternly to them, right? You pay or you're out, that kind of stuff. Those days are gone, right? You can't do that kind of stuff anymore. Now they would fix the deck, stop by the bank, and get home right in time to watch the favorite sitcom on a Saturday. So they would spend all the weekend there, and they would just continually. This would be their life, right? Properties would be passed down from generation to generation, and families would be trained and would be familiar with what to do and what needs to happen at the investment property. It would be like a father to son or whatever, mother to daughter, and that's how it would get done. So what actually has changed, right? A lot has changed since those days. And I'm talking about the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, right? But in the 90s, and things are starting to change, okay? So legalities and standards around commercial and especially residential rentals have changed. Right? Old practices and ways are no longer allowed. Tenants are becoming increasingly aware of their rights and responsibilities and those of the landlords, and they're exercising those rights. And you know what? Good for them. Construction and maintenance of homes is a challenge. Okay, more homes are built. They are built faster and they're cheaper, and they're built a little bit cheaper. It depends on this on the caliber and the builder and where the home is and that sort of stuff. Overall, it creates more demand and preventative maintenance requirements. So older homes, you didn't need to manage and maintain so much as that you have now with smart homes, with technology, with a lot of stuff that's being built. Furnaces used to last you 50 years. Now they barely last you 15 or even 10. Okay, especially smart furnaces where you have to get a HVAC tech to calibrate it every single year, or it's gonna not work well. Okay, time, right? People live much further from their investment properties than previously. Okay, because you go somewhere, you live somewhere, but in most cases you cannot afford to buy the home next to you after a few years, so you go farther and farther away to get that investment property. Consider the driving distance, right? So a lot of time is taken just to get there, back and forth. Okay, many investors live over 1 hour away from where they actually live. Like Mike mentioned, in rural communities and in so many places, it takes time to get there. Okay, cost of materials has gone up, and you can no longer afford making mistakes, winging it like your old man, right? And a lot of parts became very specific, so you can't just jerry-rig things anymore, or duct tape things, because the tenants are not going to like that. Right? But it used to be the case, right? And then the demographics, okay? Investors are getting younger, and they're too busy to keep up with maintenance demands on weekends and evenings. So you have a lot going on, right? Just to keep up with things. Before, you could just do one property, and then you're well off. Now you have to do a lot of things just to make ends meet, right? So, if not you, then who is going to deal with all this? If you consider yourself a property investor, chances are you're probably not going to be satisfied with a single property. Okay? You're going to want to build up and buy more and buy more and more and more. Consider hiring a property manager. Okay? A property manager is the last and likely the longest and closest relationship you're going to have with any of the professional service partners involved in purchasing your property. That is not no offense to Tyson or Mike, but of these names and these titles, you have your real estate agent, you have your mortgage broker, property insurance agent, home inspector, lawyer, maybe the seller if you're buying direct, and then you have a property manager. Okay, so once you bought your home, once the inspector has gone through, once your mortgage is done with your mortgage furnishing and all of that stuff, the lawyer signed off your documents, your home, and the seller is gone. Now you're dealing with your property manager. And those relationships, they last for 10, 20, 30 years. And every month you get a call, you get an invoice, you know what's going on. So we are there. We're just the last step. So what do these people do? Right? What do property managers do for properties? And I'm not going to go through each one of these. But there is a lot. And you look at it like you have to do all these things, right? So every one of these things, like utility management, key handovers, pest control, electrical, HVAC, regulatory concerns, roofing, finishing, landscaping, all of that stuff, right? It happens, right? Appliance repairs, so forth. Just take that in, you can take photos.
Actually, yeah.
Sure, yeah, go ahead. But a lot of that stuff, it breaks down into these categories, right? Administration, properties required to be administered, leasing, right? Tenants come and go, maintenance, just regular maintenance, right? Duct pipes are clogged. It happens. I always like to hear clients coming into us and say, "Oh, my tenant is careless, and so they clog the toilet and all that." So you want to tell me that your house does not have clogged toilets ever? And then like, yeah, they're probably better than me. So anyway, a lot of that stuff we kind of deal with. The relationships, right, with other tenants, with neighbors, with local authorities, in waste collection, community, and if they have pets. All that stuff needs to be managed and dealt with. Right, so the story. So once upon a time there was an investor. This is a real story. I'm just like laying it out, but this is our client. So once upon a time, there was an investor named Jack who was always on the lookout for new investment opportunities. He had made decent money over the years, investing in stocks and bonds and forex and all that other stuff. However, he was now looking to diversify the portfolio, and he wanted to invest in rental properties, just like Tyson mentioned in the beginning, right? It's a good investment. That's when he met a property manager named Nina, and she was a seasoned professional who had years of experience managing rental properties and had a proven track record of success. Jack was impressed with Nina's knowledge, the market, and ability to find the best investment opportunities. Together, they decided to partner up and invest in rental properties. Jack provided the capital, while Nina took care of the day-to-day operations. They found beautiful duplex in a desirable neighborhood and bought it. Nina was able to find great renters who took care of the property, paid their rent on time, and because Nina knew the right service professionals to call up for any issues, because she handled the finances and administration, the property was always in good condition, always marketable to the best tenants available. Jack was pleased with the steady income he was receiving from the rental and was also able to focus on new investment opportunities now that Nina was managing the day-to-day stuff. Soon, Jack and Nina added a 35-unit industrial building to the portfolio, a few single-family residential homes, and a small commercial unit. So Jack's on the road looking for that stuff. Nina is there dealing with all the management, right? As the years passed, Jack and Nina's partnership continued to flourish. They invested in several more properties and became one of the most successful teams in the area. People would often come to them for advice on investing in rental properties, and Nina would always tell them that the key success was to find the right partner. One day, Jack decided to leave the country and resettle in a warmer climate. That could be you as well. Maybe you're tired of Canada. Maybe you don't want to live here anymore, right? So what happens to all those properties that you own here? Who's going to deal with them, right? If you were struggling and now you know, just that's it. This is my portfolio here. But he was happy to know that his properties were in good hands with Nina. He was confident that she would continue to manage his properties and generate steady income for him. So this story, it's a kind of like a cheesy little story, but it serves as an example of investment pathway that is done right and right from the beginning, okay? And not...
It's a good story.
It's a good story, right? Yeah, but Jack is our client. So we have actually a client named Jack, and Nina actually runs the operations in our company. So we have now clients retiring. You know, they had years of just kind of coming down from all the terrible tenancies and all the breaking and the roof and all that. And like, okay, yeah, I can now just kind of like retire, I'm done. So it's good for them. So quickly about our services, this is our sort of area of coverage, right? It's just basically a long line and a few pieces here and there. So all the way from Toronto up to Barrie and Midhurst up there. Standard property management services, residential, commercial, industrial, mixed-use spaces, co-living, housing and hoteling. Where is co-living? Services for in-town, offshore, snowbird, non-resident investors, individuals and corporations as well. So we like our snowbirds. You know, they come, they go. Maybe sometimes they don't come back. They just stay there in Florida or wherever they are. We do have tax consultants that help for non-resident entities on how to structure their filing of taxes in here as well. We have partnerships with great realtors, with mortgage professionals, with home inspectors and insurers, right? Because we are the last step, so we need to work with those who precede us so that we have that funnel, right? We have good clients coming to us. And right from the beginning, right? Because again, a lot of the clients come to us, they've already been through the rough and hard battle of dealing with that, and it's tough. It's tough to take them in and like explain to them that now you have to invest a little bit more than you thought you did just to get the house properly set up for success. Because the roof is leaking, right? It's not the ceiling that's the problem, it's the roof. You got to fix the roof, so a little bit more money right there. Assistance with budgeting, with conflict resolution, purchase consulting, and then we also provide training, education services as well. If you still want to try landlording yourself, you want to be a landlord, you want to do a landlord kind of stuff, a couple years of this stuff, that's fine as well. We do have a course called The Good Landlord, and then we teach you how to actually do it yourself. The course is available on our website for signing up, and this is the kind of stuff that we cover. We cover Residential Tenancies Act and the Landlord and Tenant Board responsibilities. We prepare your home, we teach you how to prepare your home for all seasons, right? All the winter, summer, spring, and fall maintenance that you guys need to do. We teach you about insurance, taxes, and keeping good records, right? We teach you budgeting for and investing in your rental for, to deal with issues, right? So you have enough money and you budget enough money for the full year, right? To account for that appliance breaking up, to account for the possibility of a roof leak, right? And those kinds of things. We teach you about the roles of paralegals, property management companies like ourselves, landscapers, and other professionals, so that you are set up to choose the right people and to expect the best out of them and their services. And then we also go into commercial landlording and what it takes to be a commercial landlord, and then we teach you other stuff as well. Any questions? Yeah?
Is that a free class?
It is.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, the class is free, so absolutely take a look at it, send us a message, and yeah, I forgot to mention, it's like the most important thing, that course is free. Yeah?
So maybe a bit of an amateur question, but like what kind of expenses come with hiring a property manager?
So property management companies like ourselves, there is no secret. They charge anywhere between 5 and 10%. If they charge into the 12, it's typically a bigger property, more issues that are anticipated in the first few years, and so forth. It really depends. Yeah?
So what if you have tenants that don't pay?
Sorry, just 1 second. It's from the rental, from the monthly rental.
Right.
Right? Okay. Sorry. Yeah.
What if the tenants don't pay? Do you go in and do you do all the sheriff and all that?
Yeah, we just throw them out.
just,
just out. No.
Do you go ahead and proceed with the documents that need to be
Yeah.
or does the landlord have to do it?
No, we do that. We do all that. So what happens when a tenant doesn't pay? I think this is more, it's like an hour's worth of conversation, because we look at it, a tenant just doesn't stop, payment stops, and then there's no more payment. There are conditions that lead to that. There are circumstances that you need to look into. A lot of times it's the landlords that have made poor decisions and communicated with the tenant very poorly and failed to take care of property the way it should be, that then resulted in the tenant stopping payment or short paying. Typically in our experience, we find that tenants, if tenants actually run into hardships, they let the landlord know way in advance of those hardships. And the landlord, sometimes they just hold them to contract because it says here that he has to pay me, and then, okay, right, be strategic about it. That document is not going to find the tenant a job. The tenant cannot pay, so you got to put things in motion. But yeah, we definitely do all that step-by-step process. Now the thing is, with the landlord and tenant board now, it's been a very difficult period of time for the landlord and tenant board up until December of last year, because at that point, now we've all heard the stories in CBC with landlords being homeless because the tenant is occupying their property, not paying, and not leaving, right? So that's been happening, and there's many reasons why that happened, but since December, the province have injected a lot of money into the landlord and tenant board, and that resulted in them hiring a lot of adjudicators, and cases are being processed much faster now. So help is starting to arrive, and it's showing. So,
final question.
Anybody? No? Okay. Great.
All right. Thank you so much.